Hello everybody, my name is Professor Rich, and today we're talking about making new habits in English. And let's start with a vocabulary activity, looking at vocabulary related to this topic and also from last class. So you can see here some amazing GIFs which aren't really working, so that's great. Interesting. My computer is having a special moment. But okay, in a moment when these things load up, you will see some amazing GIFs, and I would like you to match the GIFs to the vocabulary. All of this is vocabulary from the recent 2 lessons. We have been doing a series on habits and goals, and today we're doing the class on creating positive habits. How is everybody doing today? I will give you 3 minutes to finish this activity. If you're new here, then you can see the timer down in the bottom left, and you can see that I haven't started the timer yet. But I am going to start the timer in just a moment. Any second now, I'm going to start the timer. And the timer is started. You have 3 minutes. So you can see that each of the pictures, which are supposed to be GIFs, has a letter. And I want you to match those letters to the vocabulary. The GIFs were working before. I'm not sure what is taxing my graphics card here. Something is. I'll do a better test next time. So, can I say hello to Domenico Lafauci, hello Nipa Begum, hello Daisy, hello Julia Hata, hello Anawat Sudarak, and hello Vladimir. How are you all doing today? Please do vote in the poll and make sure that you smash that like button. I'm going to let the poll run until this activity is finished. All of this vocabulary we studied recently in our 2 classes. We are doing a series on goals and habits, and today we're talking about creating positive habits. It's kind of funny, I can click and it does stuff. It makes them move. It's a bit kind of weird. I'm going to try something here which is a little bit weird and experimental and might crash everything. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Let's try it though. Oh, it's just the fact it's full screen. Look, we have GIFs, everybody. Look at the GIFs. That's weird. I make it full screen and it kills the GIFs. But okay, there you go. So we're matching the GIFs to the vocabulary, and you have about 30 seconds to finish that. Hello there to Eleanor Anisimova. How are you doing, Eleanor? Or is it Elena? Elena. And we've got a pretty strong answer there from Miss Lee. Brenda Hernandez says, hi there, this is my first time joining this live stream, and I learned about it through word of mouth. Nice to meet you. Thank you, Brenda. It's a pleasure to have you. Word of mouth is what I'm relying on because YouTube's really difficult now. So I'm going to give you some answers. We do, of course, have 1C. That's immediate reward, also called instant gratification. We have 2, and 2 is E, positive reinforcement. That means you give yourself a reward when you do something. And in this case, the reward is a thumbs up. Actually, the thumbs up is a form of reward. It's one of the reasons that social media is so popular. Then we have plasticity. Plasticity is the ability to change. We talked about that last time. We talked about how young children have a higher neural plasticity, and that allows them to make new habits easier. And then we have create a sense of urgency. That is, of course, D, pointing at the clock. We've got breach one of the rules. That's F. Please don't smoke in our restaurants. And finally, we have track your progress, which is A. So well done to everybody who got that correct. And I am now going to end our poll. This is our live poll in the chat, and that is over there if you're on PC, or down there if you're on mobile devices. The poll question was, do you find it easy to make new habits? And 53% said not at all, which was the most common answer. So I hope that we can help you today with some techniques for making new habits more effectively. So let's have a look at the plan for today. Hello, computer. Hello. There we go. So let's have a look at the plan for today. We are going to talk about making new habits. Yeah, the full screen is really not working today. Potato PC, are you okay? I was doing quite a lot of AI text generation, and I wonder if that's messed with it a little bit. But anyway, we're going to talk about making new habits. We are going to revise vocabulary, and that's finished. We did it. And actually, this idea of ticking things on a to-do list is something that we're going to talk about later today. We are also going to reflect on the last class, which was about breaking habits. Then we're going to learn how to make new habits, which is what I keep dangling in front of you. And then we're going to practice planning new habits. And then we'll look at your homework from last week. I think I am going to just stop the full screen because for one reason or another, something is very badly optimized today. So let's just get out of full screen. All right. So do you remember from our last class, what were the 4 steps from James Clear? What were the 4 pieces of advice for stopping bad habits? Do you remember? Type your answers in the chat. Do you remember? Do you remember the steps to break bad habits that we talked about last class? There was 4. It was more sort of tips, actually, rather than steps. Pure Kerr says it's 99% sure love can make a man or woman change. Well, temporarily. What about permanently? Changing temporarily is impossible. Anawat says remove the cue. And also we called it make it invisible. Make it invisible. We said. That's right, Julia, invisible. Mina says think about the drawbacks. That was one of them, Mina, and that was make it unattractive. Make it unattractive. I was thinking about the drawbacks. And Daisy Lee has just hit us with basically everything. So thanks for that, Daisy. It's not visible, though. It's invisible. And Brenda says, let me tell you that making new habits is like trying to steer a ship in a new direction. Sometimes it feels like smooth sailing, and other times you're in uncharted waters. That's very poetic, Brenda. Thank you. So, as Daisy said, we had the first one, which was make it invisible. And this actually is a slide from our last class. Does anyone know the missing word here? There's a missing word under the red block. Can you tell me what that word is? Well done, Julia. She's got it straight away. It's remove. So remove the cues of your bad habit. Okay, next we had make it unattractive. So once again, could you tell me what is the missing word? I could be wrong, but I don't think it was root. Dangerous is pretty good, but it's not quite right. Kitty cat, stop fighting. Yeah, negative, that's the one. Exactly. Well done, Nipa. And well done, Julia. Well done, Daisy. Perfect. So focus on the negative parts of the habit. And this is what Mina mentioned before. Mina said, think of the drawbacks. Next, make it difficult. Make it more to do a bad habit. What's the missing one there? Hello, Pallavi. Welcome. Bye-bye, everyone. Excuse me, Pallavi. Oh, hello, teacher. I just came to say hi. Sorry, I can't watch now because I have stomach ache. All right. Okay, Pallavi, it's nice to see you. Yeah, well done. Well done, Anawat. That is perfect. It is difficult. Make it difficult. Well done, Julia. Make it more difficult to do a bad habit. So we don't put our chocolate in front of us on our desk. We put our chocolate, in fact, just don't buy chocolate. And then it becomes more difficult to do it. And hide your wallet so you don't have money to buy chocolate. Next, make it unsatisfying. This is the last one. This is tip number 4 for getting rid of bad habits. Make it unsatisfying. That's really interesting, Pure Care. So Pure Care is mentioning something very relevant to today. And she says, for OCD patients, psychotherapists give a rubber band to put on their hand when they excessively repeat washing hands. And the patient should pull the rubber band to make it hurt the hand as a reminder not to repeat it. That's really interesting. That is like mega interesting. I really like that. That is exactly what we were talking about. Nipa, tough is basically the same word, isn't it? Tough, difficult, challenging. So it's taste, this one, taste. And no one got it before the countdown. And I don't think anyone's got it now. So do not reward bad habits and put a bad taste into the reward. No Pallavi, no live stream tomorrow. The next stream will be Thursday. And then after that, Saturday. And Daisy says, that doesn't work. And they will feel anxious and feel obsessed to clean their hands. Are you sure? I didn't know if Pure Care was speaking from professional experience or what. Domenico says, Rich, in my humble opinion, bad habits are sneaky saboteurs of our routines. So it's all about finding that balance, right? Toss out the bad, keep up the good, and maybe throw in a few new ones. Interesting. So let's move away from our reflection here and let's talk about how to make new habits. So we did about how to get rid of bad habits. How do we make new habits, new positive habits? We're going to flip everything. We're going to invert everything. So here's our path for making new habits. So everybody in the chat now, 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you think are the missing words? Please type your answers in the chat. That's over there on PC and it's down there on mobile devices. If you're enjoying the live stream, do smash that like button and do hit subscribe. About 20% of people watching this stream are not subscribed to the channel. So do remember to subscribe so that you get notifications about the live streams when we do them. Right now, we are streaming 3 times a week. This is free English learning of the highest quality, if I do say so myself. And Manuel Gordillo says, I didn't know anything about class today, even though I sent him a PM, a private message reminding him. So we've really just started the new material, Manuel. We're talking about how to make new habits, and we are inverting what we learned last class about breaking bad habits. So we've got some good answers so far. Well done, Julia. Well done, Daisy, Anawat. Well done, Nipa. Mina, you've got the wrong idea there. You're talking about how to break bad habits, but now I want to talk about how to make new positive habits. I will give you just 2 more minutes to have a go with that. 2 more minutes to have a go. Get your suggestions in the chat. You can see the timer down there in the bottom right of the screen. Anawat, make it SMART. So remember that SMART is a system for setting goals. And we're talking about something slightly different now. Although SMART is related, setting goals is related to creating habits. We are here talking about how to have success making a habit. So, yes, that's right, Mina. That's absolutely perfect. Well done. Make it rewarding. Make it easy. Make it enjoyable. Vladimir says make it routine. So actually, that's not one of the things I'm going to talk about. And I understand that the popular advice about habits does involve routine, consistency, doing things repeatedly. And that is important. However, I think people overvalue how important it is, because common knowledge or common sense seems to tell us that all we need to do is to repeat an action and it will become a habit. But that is not true. And I know that not only from the science, but also from my personal experience. As I talked about last time, I tried to create a habit of doing yoga every morning for 10 minutes. And I did it 10 minutes a day every morning, 5 days a week for 90 days. And on day 91, I didn't do it. And I never did it again. So what happened to my habit? I forced myself to do yoga every 5 days a week, 10 minutes every morning for 3 months. But the habit didn't stick. What happened? Well, repetition is good, it's important, but you need other things as well. So let's have a look then. We have number 1, make it obvious. So not only visible, all right? Visible is the opposite of invisible, but we want more than that. We want to make it obvious. So not just visible, but right in your face. And we'll talk about that. Number 2 is make it appealing. That's very much like attractive, right? But attractive kind of has this idea of it looks good. So I want to say appealing because it doesn't just look good, it smells good. I've got that taste in my mouth. I'm just like, oh yeah, boy, I want that coffee. Oh, smells so good, looks good, sounds good. Number 3, make it easy. Make it easy. And I often talk about this when we talk about reading outside of class. If you want to make a habit reading in English outside of class, you got to keep it easy, right? Don't go for a book that's too challenging because it will not become a habit. Next, or last, is make it rewarding. So now we want to really get all that reward, all of that, because making it rewarding will tell your brain that this is a dopamine activity. Now, an interesting thing about habits is that when you first do them, you get the dopamine spike with the reward, but later you get the dopamine spike before the reward, and dopamine becomes the motivation to do the thing. Dopamine is actually a craving chemical in your brain. So we want to do something that's going to cause a dopamine release, and we want to consistently have that reward immediately after we do our habit. Nipa says, yoga's not your cup of tea. And Daisy also said, maybe yoga's not your thing. I'm not sure that I believe in that kind of attitude when it comes to making habits. I think yoga could be my thing, but I think I had the wrong approach. Maybe I'll prove it to you by making a habit of yoga. Not now, because I'm too damn busy, but in the future, maybe like 6 months or a year, I will go back to yoga and I'll make it a daily habit to prove to you I can do it. Because I'm pretty sure I can, now that I understand how habits work. All right, so I want to put this into practice now. I want to show you how you can use this advice and really apply it to new habits. So we're going to look at a goal. Remember, we talked about making goals, but these goals are specifically about creating habits. So we're going to look at the goal, the objective. I will read one book every week in September. I'll say that again. I'll read one book every week in September. So think about that. Think about that goal. I'll read a book a week for every week in September. I will read a book a week in September. Can you do that? Maybe you read more than a book a week and that's easy. But maybe you don't really read very much and you want to make that your goal. I'll read a book a week every week in September. That's our goal. So let's apply this to that goal. To start with, we want to make it obvious. So, how do we make it obvious? Ideas. Type your ideas now in the chat. How do we make this goal obvious? I will read a book a week every week in September. It looks like New Year's resolutions, Rich. Yeah, I mean, that kind of is what habits look like, isn't it? They sort of look like New Year's resolutions. Just gonna do something to see if it helps my computer, which has been really not happy with this. No, still. Oh, it's a bit better. No, it's not brilliant at all. Okay. So starting, we're making it obvious. What ideas have you got for that? Mina says you can go to the library more often. So what you're doing there, Mina, is you're doing something called habit chaining, which is chaining positive habits together. I guess you could say if you're in the library, it's more obvious, yeah? All right, I'm going to give you this one. So the first one, you could put your reading area right in the center of your room, right? You put your reading table, your lovely, comfy reading chair, your coffee, and your book is there. It's right there in front of you every day. You can see your really lovely reading area right in front of you in the center of your room. So that is an example of making it obvious. So you get that reminder about reading, right? Next. What was next? Next was make it attractive, right? Or appealing in this case. So, how can we make it appealing? I will read one book every week in September. Easier said than done, says Manuel. Yeah, but how can we make it appealing, Manuel? How can we make it appealing to have this habit of reading a book every week? Setting a reward, says Tifa. Not quite. That's step 4. This is step 2. Make it attractive. Choose your favorite genre, says Anawat. Bingo. Well done, sir. He read my mind. Choose your favorite books, your favorite genre, right? Make it something that you want to read. I always find that so funny. You know, people say, Rich, what should I read in English? And I say, well, what's your favorite book, type of book? Oh, anything. I like all the books. Yeah, but what's your favorite? Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I just want easy books to read in English. Recommend some books with an easy level. No, tell me what type of book you like first. Then we'll talk about books that are good for your level, right? So read your favorite genre. That's how you make it appealing. All right, the next one, step 3. Step 3 is make it easy. So how do we make it easy? I'll read one book every week in September. How do you make that easy? Yeah, Elena, I agree with you. I think it is possible to do that. So Daisy says, read children's books. Yeah, you're on the right lines, actually, Daisy. You are definitely along the right lines there. Anawat says, use audiobooks. Also, that's true. So you're coming up with good ideas now. Well done, everybody. That's the right idea. I choose short books, but it doesn't have to be short books. It could be choose short books, choose books with good pictures, choose books with a big font, right? You don't want little tiny text and you can't even see it and it's so difficult. No. Nice, big text, easy to read. Do you find it hard to read? Get some reading glasses, okay? Do you find it difficult to look at the screen to read? Then don't look at the screen. Buy a physical book, okay? We want to make it easy. If you don't, you might be like, oh, I don't want easy. I want difficult books. Yeah, okay, that's great. We can do that another time. But right now, we want to make a habit. And if you want this to become a habit, you better make it easy. Because if it's difficult, you won't do it. Here's proof. Think about every single bad habit that you have right now. What bad habits do you have? And now, tell me which one of those is difficult. Are any of your bad habits difficult? I doubt it. If something is easy, it's much more likely to become a habit. All right, next. We've got the last one. This is where Tifa comes in. Look at that picture. Doesn't that look nice? That's AI-generated chocolate cake. What's the last one? The last one is rewarding. So how can we make it rewarding? That's exactly it, Tifa. That's, again, for make it easy, read a smaller amount. So we could change our goal. Instead of I will read a book every week in September, maybe we say I'll read a chapter every week in September. That makes it easy. Choose a book one level above your level. Julia, I disagree. I think you should choose one book below your level. For extensive reading, that's what you should do. Give stars, says Pure Care. Yes, that is one way you can make it rewarding. You give yourself stars. Julia says, pat yourself on the back. Brenda says, to make a habit attractive, you need to figure out why you want this habit. If it's something you're passionate about, if it aligns with your goals, it automatically becomes more attractive. That's true, Brenda. And you're talking about something called intrinsic motivation, where sometimes we find habits that are intrinsically motivating, and they obviously become habits very quickly. However, I believe it's also possible to make habits which are not necessarily intrinsically motivating, even though intrinsic motivation is the best. But sometimes you can cultivate intrinsic motivation by first using a bit of extrinsic motivation. Why do the rewards have to be a piece of cake, says Manuel? Because I was having fun generating AI images of cake. That's why. So the example I put is to combine it with your favorite snack. So you got your ice cream, cake, chocolate, fudge, cream, and you got your reading, and you're like, oh yeah, boy, I'm going to do some reading and eat my chocolate cake. Actually, it works. It works. But do be careful with that kind of layering, they call it, habit layering, because you can get to a point where when you read, you don't like reading because you don't have your chocolate cake. So we went through one full example there of how to apply this method to that goal, which was I will read one book every week in September. Now, let's have a look at doing this with a language learning goal. So a lot of people with learning languages, they have goals related to exams, right? Related to, for example, IELTS. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about goals related to IELTS. I will get a 7.5 in IELTS by June 2024. So I'll get a 7.5 in IELTS by June 2024. Okay, so that's our goal. And we're going to go through the process again. So we start with make the cue obvious. So how can we make it obvious? Pika, pika. Pika, pika. Well done, everyone. You just saw my Pikachu impression. That's your reward for watching this stream. Pika, pika. Have you got a dopamine boost from that? I hope so. Now smash that like button. Okay. So how can we make this habit obvious? We have the goal, which is I will get a 7.5 in IELTS before June 2024. So obviously we want to study IELTS a lot. So how can we make this obvious? Yes, Daisy, with a really excited smiley, says, I'll put all IELTS books on my table. Yeah, you've basically got it. I put something slightly different. I've said use a calendar with a countdown to your exam every day. So on your calendar, right, let's say that your exam will be in June 2024. Then on your calendar, you have 300, 299, 298, 297, all the way down to 0, which is the day that you have your IELTS exam. And every day you will look at that calendar and you'll go 299, 298, 297. Every day reminding you that you have that exam and that on your exam you're going to get a 7.5. All right. Okay. Why is it such a deadly obsession about outcomes? I think that's a topic for another day, Manuel, since we are kind of talking about goals and habits right now. So outcomes are kind of important, but I understand where you're coming from. All right, moving on. Next one. Appealing. So how can we make it appealing to have the habit of studying for our IELTS exam? You can see that this image is AI generated. That's why it says IELTS or ELSIT. Maria del Carmen says, what can you do if that way does not work? Maria, can you explain more? I need more specific example. And Tifa says, working on the weakest part in IELTS, for example, writing part 2. That is a goal yourself, Tifa. What you're talking about is a goal. Putting 7.5 on my wall, that's it. So that would be the first one, the Q. Make it obvious. You can put a big 7.5 on your wall, and that makes it obvious. You need that. It's a cue is a reminder. So making it obvious, just giving you that reminder, right? Such as, for example, as I've spoke about recently on the stream, that I quit alcohol 43 days ago now, and I'm totally happy with it. But if ever I do have any moments where I am not so sure about that, which actually I don't have many moments like that. Whenever I do, I just think about the beautiful, beautiful lady in my life. And then I think, well, that's all I need as a reminder. So that's my obvious. I also have pictures of her by my desk. So many reminders of that lovely lady in my life, and a reason and the motivation as to why I made such a big change. So how can we make it appealing to study IELTS? We could use fun IELTS material. We don't have to use the boring black and white books with the tiny text. We can use fun, colourful material with interesting topics. Okay, and there's a fella on YouTube who's very, very popular. I'm sure you all know him. He's an American guy, talks a lot about IELTS. And we often see that the topics that he talks about are quite interesting things. Like he'll talk about ChatGPT and he'll talk about things like that, which are kind of interesting, fun topics. So he's really optimizing this idea of making it appealing, which is important for studying something. So we've got the make it obvious, and then we go on to make it appealing. Now, let's move on to, who is he? Can you tell us his name? I think that Domenico Lafauci watches him, so he could mention it. And I think Daisy Daisy's watched him once or twice. So you guys know. I actually don't know his name. But I've seen some of his videos. I watched some of his videos to get some inspiration, but I missed his name. All right, moving on. You got here a picture of, a pile of papers. We want to make it easy. So how can we make it easy, this IELTS stuff? Domenico Lafauci says, Rich, making a habit easier to follow, you need to break your new habit into the tiniest steps. Yes. If it's exercising, begin with a 5-minute workout. He's got it. That's absolutely right, Domenico. And that is one of the things that James Clear talks about in the book Atomic Habits. So is it Adrian Dawn? That sounds right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure his name's Adrian. Yeah. I don't know about Dawn actually, but his name, I think his name's Adrian. He's an American guy. His channel's called something like IELTS Fun Tests or something. Practice one section of a reading a day or answering one cue card a day. That's good, Daisy. It's a good start. Connect to other students and join study groups. So that, Anawat, I would say is making it obvious or making it obvious or making it rewarding, because you get that social reward. So here I've put download and print 40 practice tests on day 1, then have everything ready on your desk, chair and pen. So you've got your practice tests, you've got your pen, you've got your clock, you've got your kettle ready, your coffee machine is on your IELTS study desk, everything's ready. All you need to do is sit down, get a pen and practice IELTS tests. It's all ready. So that is making it easy. Now, imagine a different situation. Imagine you haven't downloaded the tests. You haven't printed them out. You don't know where your pen is. You haven't made your coffee yet. So all of these things, they make resistance. They make it more difficult. I don't know. This is actually why I think it's better to work out at home rather than to go to the gym. Because going to the gym, it's like, oh, you got to get a bus or drive the car, 30 minutes, change into your gym wear, then work out, come home, have a shower. Oh my God, it's so difficult. So what's easier? You just have some weights in your room. Like one of these, right? Just have it ready to do your workouts. Right there, like that. Make it easy, right? Get rid of all the resistance to making that habit. And Domenico says, I can pump out 26,000 reps of push-ups in 2 seconds. Tifa says, taking mock tests and track your improvements to see your strong points and weak ones. Well, that's good advice for passing the exam, Tifa. And that's motivational. So that's actually the last step, which is, of course, make it rewarding. So what you just said, Tifa, is a good example of how to make it rewarding by tracking your progress, because it is intrinsically motivational to see yourself improving over time. Well, everyone's keen on rewards, Tifa. And one of the things about rewards that I've talked about, and I will show you in a little bit of detail in a minute, is how rewards relate to dopamine. So anyone got any ideas? Purchasing something for yourself as a reward. Ding, 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 ding. Well done, Julia. You just hit it. So I said, make a list of 4 presents you really want. Every time you complete an IELTS practice test and check your answers, you get a gold star. And then when you get 10 gold stars, you buy yourself a present. So you've got 4 presents, you've got your gold stars. Every time you do a test and check your answers, 1 star. And when you get to 10 stars, you get a present. That's your reward. Now, that reward actually is not perfect because the ideal rewards are instant. Remember, instant gratification and immediate rewards are very powerful ways of making bad habits. So we really want to use that instant gratification, that immediate reward for our good habits as well. So better than that would actually be like chocolate or like coffee or social validation. Doing, well done, right? Those instant rewards are actually more powerful. Now, Tifa did touch on something quite interesting there, where she was saying that she has a thing for wanting rewards. So I thought I'd just mention about how rewards trigger dopamine. And this is something that's in James Clear's book. So the first time that you have a reward, like a chocolate cake or a cigarette or something like that, that your body craves, so something that you have something addicting, right? First time you have it, the dopamine release actually triggers when you have it, right? So that's here. Triggers at this point when you have it. So you have the positive thing, the chocolate, not positive thing, but the thing you crave, the chocolate or whatever, and it triggers that dopamine. Then what happens is next time when you see it, it triggers the dopamine. So the dopamine gets triggered at the cue, right? So the dopamine is here because dopamine is a motivational drug. It motivates you to do stuff. So before we spoke about making it obvious, right? Yes, we make it obvious because when you see the cue, the dopamine's triggered and dopamine motivates you to do it. Now, you could think like, oh, so then I can do my studying for IELTS but not have the chocolate cake, right? Well, if you do that, what actually happens is you get a dopamine crash because your body was expecting the reward but didn't get it. So then you start to feel annoyed because you're like, hey, where's my chocolate? Bruh. Right? So eventually what will happen is you'll start to crave the chocolate and then you'll get your spike of dopamine finally. So you have to be careful with how you use this because obviously using things like chocolate as a reward to yourself can work for making a habit. But if you're going to then get rid of that, do be aware that it might be better to reduce it over time rather than just completely getting rid of it so that you don't get this dopamine crash. So that's fun with dopamine. By the way, interesting fact, if you prevent rats from having any dopamine, I know I feel sorry for the rats, okay, but we do lots of experiments on rats. If you prevent rats from having any dopamine, then they die of thirst. They don't drink. And it's not because they're depressed. They're not depressed. They're just rats. They're normal. But they just sit around. They don't do anything because they don't have any dopamine. So they don't go and have a drink of water. And the interesting thing is, if they're dying of thirst, but you give them water, you put it in their mouth, they get happy. They're like, oh yeah, water. I like water. But they still don't go and drink it themselves. And that really shows you how powerful dopamine is as a motivator. Without dopamine, rats don't do anything. They still enjoy drinking water when they're thirsty. They still get pleasure from it. But because there's no dopamine, they're not motivated to do it. It's absolutely crazy. So, everything from the lesson today is from the wonderful, wonderful book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, which the most special person in my life bought me as a present. Thank you very much. And it's a bloody brilliant book, says Prof. Rich Nolan 2023. So I do recommend checking out that. Today's lesson and the previous two lessons were based on the ideas in this book, and I absolutely love this book. It's probably my new favorite personal development book. Plus, James Clear looks a little bit like me, and that always helps. So, here is your new homework. This is homework for next week. And it's a follow-on from the last homework. So, you're going to choose one or more of your goals, phrase them in terms of a new habit, and then say how you will make them obvious, appealing, easy, and rewarding. So, choose a goal, like I want to be cooler. Then make them in terms of a habit. So, I'm going to say 2 cool things every day, and then say how you will make that obvious, appealing, easy, and rewarding. Finally, I want you to record an audio of that activity, make it MP3 format, and send it to professorrich@gmail.com. So that is the homework for next time. And I know that there will be 1,000,001 people saying, hey, what's the homework? So I'm going to post that in our language learning community right now. And let's move on. So you might remember that last week I gave you some homework that was related to a list of habits, a list of goals. It wasn't anything to do with habits. It was goals. It was a list of goals that you want to do. So I wanted you to list 2 goals for this month, 2 for the year, and 1 within 3 years. And critically, I wanted you to make sure that your goals follow SMART. So we are going to listen to the recordings that I have sent in. So I've got 4 recordings from our lovely, lovely friends. Tifa says, how can I make MP3 format? So if you can't make MP3 format, that's okay. Just send your audio to professorrich@gmail.com and it's fine. If you can make it in MP3 format, that's great. If you don't know what MP3 format means, don't worry about it. Just record yourself, hit share, and send it to professorrich@gmail.com. I can make it work. It's just easier for me if it's MP3, that's all. I don't have a screen, so I can't do the homework, says Maria del Carmen. I don't quite understand that, Maria. If you don't have a screen, how are you interacting with the chat right now? And Brenda says, when you start a new habit, the brain recognizes the potential for future rewards. As you repeat the behavior, you get that dose of dopamine. Your brain strengthens the neural pathways associated with the habit. That's correct, Brenda. And there's lots of fantastic information about that in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. So let's have a look at the homework from last week. So we're going to listen. And I just want to say that some of the people who recorded and sent this homework in are in the chat right now. So just bear that in mind. My poor student, Francesca, from last week came in and made some, candid comments about one of the other students and then felt eternally embarrassed about what she'd said. So do bear in mind, these are real students who probably are in the chat right now. So we're going to listen and just give you a reaction. What do you think about their goals, and did they correctly use SMART? That's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time constricted.
Hi everyone, I'm going to share with you some of my goals that I have been contemplating so far. For this month, I want to eat properly instead of skipping meals. I also want to spend more quality time with my family. I can kill two birds with one stone by simply sitting at the dining table, savoring delicious food, and having a little chit chat with my mom and my sister. And for this month, I want to accomplish many things. My first goal is that I want to wake up at 6 in the morning every day by hitting the hay before midnight and setting up dozens of alarm clocks to ensure that I can wake up on time. Another goal for this month is to be a better and more responsible driver by not crossing the red lights, speeding up recklessly on the roads, or commuting without having a driver's license. And for the next 3 years, I want to stick to minimalism, which requires me to consciously dispose of unnecessary junk in my life. I hope I can achieve all of my goals by sharing them with you guys, and I hope everyone can accomplish their desired goals in the future. Good luck, everyone.
All right, wonderful. I think you can guess who that was. Great improvement in pronunciation from Daisy. I don't know if other people have mentioned that. I think, or I've noticed that, especially in the first half of that recording, it was really, really easy to understand, really well pronounced. There was a couple of minor issues later on, but I'm not going to dwell on them because I think we're going to go with a reward for this one. Doing, well done, Daisy. So some brilliant goals there as well. I think we could make some of them time constricted, might be beneficial there, Daisy. So it's great to have the goal of, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. every day. But how about we put some time constraints on that? So because going, straight from straight from zero to hero could be quite difficult. So how about we say, right, in September, I'll get up before 9 a.m. In October, I'll get up before 8 a.m. And in November, I'll get up before 7 a.m. And then finally in December, I will get up at 6 a.m. at the latest. And then you've got some time restricted goals there. So they adhere to the SMART system. Thanks. I'm practicing my English like a maniac these days. Yeah, I can see there were a couple of idioms thrown in there as well. So good job on those. It's always a bit of fun to have some idioms in there. All right. Absolutely wonderful. Right. Let's listen to our next learner.
Hi everyone, I'm Anuwat. As I look forward to the coming months and year, I've taken the time to set some goals that will not only enhance my daily routine but also contribute to my long-term aspirations. Let's dive into these goals. This month, I'm setting 2 goals to improve my daily routine. Firstly, I commit to making my bed immediately after waking up and ensuring that my bed is consistently made every morning. Secondly, I'll prioritize doing the dishes before I eat and measure this by making sure the dishes are cleaned and put away before every meal. Looking ahead to the year, I aim to exercise for at least 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, which I'll measure by tracking the number of hours I exercise each day with Garmin app. Additionally, I also intend to get back into triathlons after a long break. I'll monitor my training progress, such as the distance covered and the time spent on each discipline, to ensure I'm on track to complete a triathlon in November. Furthermore, my long-term aspiration is to become an English teacher within 3 years who can inspire Thai learners to enjoy the language. To achieve this, I'll enhance my teaching skills, cultural understanding, and adaptability. I'll measure my progress by regularly assessing my teaching skills, gaining feedback from students, and tracking the development of specific lesson plans to see their effectiveness. Overall, these goals will drive my personal growth and contribute to a fulfilling year ahead.
Wow, Anawat, I think you are putting us to shame there. He's amazingly organized in the way that he presented his goals, and also didn't only present the goals, but also a plan, like an action plan for the goal, which is a topic for a future lesson. We've done about goals, we've done about habits. We haven't actually done about action plans yet, but Anawat's way ahead of us, talking about not only what he wants to do, but also how he's going to do it. Interesting there to find that you want to be an English teacher. I didn't realize that. So that's quite interesting. What do you do at the moment, Anawat, just out of interest? Because you seem like a very organized person and very professional person. And I imagine that you have some sort of professional experience to back up that degree, that kind of quality of your character. With regards to just a bit of feedback for you, because really what you're saying there is absolutely fantastic. I love your intonation as well. It's really polite, really nice to listen to. What I would say is you could try a tongue twister that we put in the Skype chat the other day. I don't know if you saw it. So the tongue twister, it starts, you just do this. Right? So you do that. And then we move on to red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. And it's just a way of practicing the the and the w. Now your was pretty good at the start, but you had some problems with it in the middle, like you said, progress. And there were some other examples of missing the there, which is it's really difficult for East Asian speakers. But a bit of mechanical practice can help. You're a pharmacist. You used to work in pharmaceutical industries. Interesting, but you want to go into language teaching, not teaching pharmaceuticals. I mean, yeah, you absolutely can. I think you pretty much have the English for it now, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, particularly if you want to teach kids or lower levels. I think you already have the English required for that. The qualification that I could recommend if you want to teach English at a private academy would be the Cambridge English Language Teaching for Adults, the CELTA, or the TESOL Trinity Certificate. They are the best for private institutions. If you want to work in a public school or university, then you should check for your local conditions, because they vary according to the country. Some countries prefer masters, some countries prefer degrees. It all depends on what the individual country needs. And some countries actually like the Cert Trinity or the Cambridge English CELTA. And the book that you should get, Anawat, if you really want to become an English teacher, you should go and buy this book or get a legal copy of it. Sorry, I didn't say that. Get a legal copy. You should buy a legal copy of this book. Ha ha, I was just joking. Don't get an illegal copy. Is The Practice of English Language Teaching, and that is by Jeremy Harmer. And that is the Bible of teaching communicative English language teaching. So Jeremy Harmer, The Practice of English Language Teaching. And the second best book that you can get is Learning Teaching by Jim Scrivener. So I highly recommend those two books. All right, thank you, Anawat. Let's move on to our next learner.
First of all, I would like to share each of 2 short-term goals for this month, this year, and 1 long-term goal by 2025 in accordance with SMART techniques. In the month of September, I am actively working towards achieving 2 short-term goals. The first one is that managing social media screen time more effectively by limiting it to a specific time window. In technically speaking, it will be turned down from 5 hours to 3 hours a day. As such, I can regain control over my time and channel it towards more meaningful activities. The second one is that allocating budget wisely. In particular, the allocated budget is the ballpark figure will help me stay within the budget. In addition, avoiding ridiculously shopping and impulsive buying will make me meaningful contribution to my targeted budget. 2 short-term goals for this year are targeted on advancing my education and making progress on body weight and weight loss, dedicating study session and active participation in educational sessions. It will alleviate my skills to advanced level and push their boundaries. On top of that, I will ramp up the effort in study time from 1 hour to 2 hours every day. To make progress on body build up, I will exercise 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week to 5 times a week. In terms of weight loss, I will screen calorie intake, reduce eating sweet and less calorie by using the application to track it down and measure my body weight on weekly basis. One long-term goal by 2025 is to visit USA, the second to none country around the world. It is known for its cultural site and a plethora of the tourist attractions.
All right, so we have Julia Gitar with really very well organized system of making goals as well. So yeah, we can see just the breakdown of this is my goal, this is how I'll do it. And really hard working attitude there. You're going to go from 1 hour a day to 2 hours a day of language learning. I think that's quite a lot, personally. Really hammering it. So we can also see Julia has a great vocabulary and demonstrated there. And I think we've seen some improvement in Julia's audios since she started sending them, as she gets used maybe to just talking freely in the audio. Definitely noticed that, the language coming a bit more fluently and a bit more freely. What I would say, Julia, is I think a big area of improvement for you would be intonation. And intonation is very difficult actually to improve. It's one of the more challenging areas of pronunciation. One of the ways of doing it is that you listen to someone speaking a native, listen to about 2 or 3 seconds of the talk, then pause, and then try to imitate the intonation using da 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 da, right? So for example, you listen to Teacher Rich, and Teacher Rich says, "Hello everybody and welcome to the stream." Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Right? And that's the practice that you can have with getting used to the intonation. Would you like a cup of tea? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. So using da 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 da, you just focus on purely practicing that intonation. But as I said, excellent vocabulary and some lovely improvements there from Julia that we've seen over time. Very structured goals. I'm quite interested to see what you will do with the next homework. All right, let's move on to our final audio recording today.
2 goals for a month. First goal. Read an abstract introduction conclusion to briefly summarize in own words an extraction of scientific article, page 1 to 30, and underline the keywords. I know my work is done when have read 15 pages. I'm up to date with my report. Reading an introduction of 5 to 8 articles is my next priority in order to make an email attachment. Today I have enough time to read and process 18 pages. I will start at 10 a.m. and finish at 13 p.m. with 2 breaks of 20 minutes each in between. Second aim: read an abstract introduction conclusion to briefly summarize in own words an extraction of scientific thesis, page 1 to 30, and underline the keywords. I know my work is done when have read 15 pages. I am up to date with my report. Reading an introduction of 1 to 5 theses is my next priority in order to make an email attachment. Today I have enough time to read and process about 300 pages. Go for a year. Make a scientific reading journal and write out the keywords and the new words. Go for 3 years. Make a reader journal for the Lord of the Rings HarperCollins edition with 10 pages as on Mercy 2908 WordPress.com website.
All right, thank you very much for that, Vladimir. So let me make some comments about that, Vladimir. First of all, well done for the effort. Absolutely wonderful. And I think I understand that your goals, your first and second goal for the month are related to academic study, reading academic articles, and having enough time to process a certain number of pages. Now, I was a little bit confused because there was such a variation in the tense you used, that you used an imperative and then future tense and then present tense. So all of these different tenses kind of mixed together, and it was a little difficult to follow because of that. For example, you said, I have enough time to read and process 300 pages. Do you mean in one day? That's really tough. And then after that, you said, I'll start at 10 a.m. and finish at 4 p.m. with breaks of 20 minutes in between. So then you've said, I will. So it's like I am and then I will. And then it becomes a little bit difficult to follow exactly what you mean. So I would say you want to keep that consistency. So keep your tenses consistent so that I can follow exactly what you're saying. The other thing is, I noticed really throughout the reading or throughout the audio that it sounded a bit like you were reading from a written text, like you'd written your script and then you were reading from the script. Okay, I would prefer that you don't do that. Instead, I want you to just talk with the audio. And I understand that can be challenging. So what I'd say to you is you can pause, think, and then talk a bit, and then pause, think, and then talk a bit. So pause the recording, talk, and then pause, think, and then record and talk. So try that. I think that might work a bit better than just reading from the text, right? I noticed specifically when you were talking about the website, right, where you were like mercy2808.word. Okay, and it was quite obvious that you're reading from the text at that point, whereas we want to practice their fluency. On the positive note, I have noticed an improvement in your audios over time. And your pronunciation, your word-to-word pronunciation is actually very clear. We just want to bring it together with fluency. We can see that you are at kind of a pre-intermediate level of fluency. So in order to develop your fluency, you need to practice thinking in English and practice speaking in English. And also freer writing can help. So if you open up a document and just start hammering out your diary for the day, that can also help. Anything to help you process fluency in English faster. But then, of course, the main thing for fluency is practice. And it's a practice-based skill. Fluency is not knowledge. Fluency is skill. So well done, Vladimir, for that. Thank you very much. The final one that we had is from Yasin, who is a new subscriber to this channel. I think he discovered the channel last class, and he did not send in an audio. He just sent in a text. So here's a text from Yasin. I did say it was an option to do that, and he said that his goals are get up early before 5 a.m., write a short paragraph on different things around me, practice the 4 language skills every morning for 2 hours. Really? All 4 skills? So you're going to do speaking, listening, writing, and reading every day for 2 hours. That's quite intense, but okay, if that works for you. Get rid of wasting time on making unnecessary trips. Not sure what you mean exactly there. Do you mean like traveling to work or traveling to the shops? What do you mean by wasting time on making unnecessary trips? What are the unnecessary trips? Could we be more specific? And finally, Yasin has said, avoid spending time on Facebook watching comedy and tragic comedy. I'm not sure what tragic comedy is, but I can imagine what it is. Watching comedy. I would, avoid wasting time on Facebook is probably a good goal for everybody. Isn't it, everybody? Wasting time on Facebook. Watching comedy and I'm not sure about watching comedy and tragic comedy though. Watching comedy can be a good way to reward yourself for a job well done. Maybe after you study your language skills for 2 hours, then at the end you can reward yourself with 30 minutes of watching comedy. I think that's fine, and that can help to make that dopamine release. So that brings us pretty much to the end of our session today, everybody. It's been a fun one. I hope you've enjoyed it. You can, of course, download the notes from today. And I would recommend that you do download the notes for today. They are free and they are available in PDF format, so you can download those. And that takes us to questions. So, does anyone have any questions on their mind? Do you have any questions about English or about anything related to the lesson today, or about English today, or about whatever? Maria Carmen says, where is my audio? Have you sent me an email, Maria? What do you mean? Your audio. Did you send me an email? Yeah, Tifa, I do like Pikachu. By the way, these are AI generated AI generated images. Thank you, teacher, says Mina. Thank you, says Tina. Tifa, thank you so much. Brenda says, have a nice day. Have a nice rest of your day. Thank you very much. My speech is 115 words per minute. I think it's a bit slow. I think it's absolutely fine, Anawat. I don't think it's slow. I think it's wonderful. I love the way your English is developing. It's absolutely brilliant. Really like to see progress in students. It's really great. Daisy said, Rich, is it true that people tend to presume who you are based on your social media, and they think it's weird if someone doesn't use Instagram? So I think that depends on the age group. So it can be depending on the age group and the people you're with. So I think maybe younger people might have a perception that it's a bit strange if you don't use Insta. Instagram is really something that I've avoided. I think it's one of the worst social medias if you're posting pictures of yourself, especially. And I think it can be quite damaging for young people to see on Instagram and to see, like, you know, especially for women seem to be more susceptible to this, seeing that, like, the Instagram girls, right, and thinking, oh, that's what I have to be like, which you have to realize that a lot of those people are popular because of all the women following them, thinking that, you know, that's the way I should be if I want to get like the guy of my dreams. Whereas in reality, I think men often prefer women who aren't posting pictures of themselves all over the internet. So that's definitely something to consider. It is, of course, also damaging to men, but in a different way, slightly different perception. So, yeah, I don't think that Instagram is a particularly positive thing. On the other hand, if you're using Instagram for, say, as an artist, using it to show your work as an artist, I think it's much more positive. And that's kind of why I've finally created my Instagram account, because people just keep going on about it. So I've made a Professor Rich Instagram account, just made it a few days ago, and I will be posting some language learning stuff on there. I haven't worked out exactly what I'm going to do with that yet. So yeah, and there's other things to think about with social media. I think one of the reasons why people find it so difficult is somebody mentioned last class, I can't remember who mentioned it, but somebody mentioned fear of missing out. Maybe it was Julia, which is FOMO. This kind of social, when you look at social media, it seems like things are happening all the time. Oh my God, another party, and someone's got married, and someone's got kids, and someone's doing this, and someone's got a new boyfriend, and someone's broke up, and oh my God, it's all happening. And it makes people feel like, oh, I need to like see this all the time. I need to be on connected. I need to be hooked in to social media 24/7. Let's go. And if I'm not looking at social media, it's like, what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing? And if you feel like that, then I would suggest that you delete all of your social media and just ignore it for a week. And when you realize that after a week that the world hasn't exploded, and everything is still absolutely fine, and perhaps even you're having a better time than you were before, then it could be a useful realization with regards to what you're really missing. You also have to realize that everything on social media is fake. Have you seen the way that people take photos now? Everyone is like an expert model at having it's me too, right? Like when someone takes out the camera, suddenly I'm like, are we done yet? Have we had the photo? Oh, thank fuck. You know what I mean? It's like, I get the photo. Oh, and we're done. Oh, thank God. Now I can be normal again. You know what I mean? So everyone's become like an expert model for photos. And not only that, but after taking a photo, everyone wants to see it. Oh, can I see it? Can I see it? before you put that on your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, social media, can I take a look? Oh, no, I don't like it. Can we do another one? Right? Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? That's how we've become in the world. And so when you see those photos on other people's social media, realize they are fake. Even if they have some truth in them, it's not the whole truth, is it? Right. Thank you for that, Daisy. That was absolutely wonderful. Next. Thanks, teacher, for your advice. Hope to match the time on next homework. Thank you, Vladimir. My best advice for you is don't use a script. I want to just hear you talk. Julia says, my time on Facebook, most of my time is on Facebook, but Instagram once in a blue moon. Yeah, Facebook's rubbish as well, though, isn't it? Facebook can be useful for the groups. They can be quite good. Maria Carmen says, can you give 1 minute more for the audio homework? It would be easier to explain our goals. Do you want to know the secret, Maria? Look, we're towards the end of the stream now, so no one's listening. So I'll tell you the secret. There is really no time limit. I just say 2 minutes because I don't want to get audios that are 10 minutes long. But actually, you can just use whatever time you need, okay? There's the secret. Don't tell anyone. All right, Anawat says, I'm Jomo, joyin' of missing out. I don't know why. I don't know what joyin' of missing out means, Anawat, but nice try creating your own expression there. Do you mean that you're happy to miss out? What would we say? Joy of missing out, maybe? What is Jomo? Is Jomo a real thing? Is this a real thing, Jomo? Pleasure derived from living in quiet. Is it joy? Does it stand for joy-in, though? Joy. It's the joy of missing out. The joy. Joy being like, woohoo, I'm happy, right? So the joy of missing out. That means you miss out and you're happy about it. Yeah, I'm a bit Jomo as well. I don't want to be there. Oh, you're having a party? Don't care. All right, moving on. Rich, I'm emotionally rooted, and it's not as bad as you mentioned. Yeah, well, Julia, I was speaking more about the kids, because, we've got a lot of sort of early teenage and teenage subscribers on the channel, and they're more heavily influenced by that. Even biologically, the part of the brain is proportionally larger in teenagers that responds to social threats and anxiety. So if you're 18, 19, 20, you're more likely to react heavily to these social pressures. So a lot of my advice is aimed at that age group specifically. But I do think for adults it can be tough as well. Yeah, Manuel also saying Facebook's a good method for people who want to get in touch with friends. Yeah, totally, Manuel. As long as you're aware of the potential downsides, it's fine. And I think the older you are, the easier it is to manage that. And Domenico Lafauci says, Rich, to be honest, social media is no longer a concern of mine because I quit using it when I graduated from university. So I'm not aware of what's happening on social media. Yeah, good for you, Domenico. Good for you. Because, judging by your great achievements that you tell us about in chat, I can imagine if you had an Instagram, you'd be showing everyone your amazing six-pack from your 1,000 push-ups. Honestly, 1,000 push-ups? That's incredible. I don't know how you do that. Do you know how many push-ups I can do? It's about 50, and that is in 5 sets. So the first set, I can get about 25, and then next set about 14, and then it kind of goes down until the last set. And in total, about 50, 60, maybe 70 if I'm really in good shape at that particular time. Then, yeah, that's an achievement. Anawat says, it's a waste of time to join class reunions. Most of my friends use that event to brag about their wealth or accomplishments. That sounds like a Vietnamese thing, Daisy. Or maybe it's a you thing. You have a circle of very successful friends. It's interesting. I only ever went to one reunion. It was the university reunion, and I have to admit it was a total waste of time. Really, yeah. I think I agree with you. Those reunions are just a complete waste of time. Because really, the thing is, the people who you want to be in touch with, you're still in touch with. So you don't need to go to a reunion because you're still friends with them. So, yeah, it doesn't really make sense, does it? You're already seeing all the people that you like. So why would you go to the reunion with the people you don't like? It doesn't make sense. And happy birthday to Domenico Lafauci. Yes, happy birthday, sir. I think, when was that? Was that last class? My mind's going now. I have like a vague recollection of someone's birthday. There was someone who had a birthday very recently. Oh no, it's Manuel Gordillo last week. Yeah, happy birthday last week to Manuel Gordillo. Happy birthday, Domenico Lafauci, today. Is that right? Or did I miss that? I've evolved over time. Don't know why I could get along with them when I was little. That can happen, Daisy. And again, I think that's something that that young girls are more susceptible to, those kind of social circles in school and in those kind of environments. Boys as well, but girls a bit more so. You get kind of dragged into the wrong social circle and then realize it later. So well done for realizing that. And happy birthday, said, is that Olia? If that's the Olia that I thought of, by the way, someone recently told me that you are a you do decoration for weddings. Is that right? And Tifa says, happy birthday, Manuel and Lafauci. Very good. And Daisy says, I had to pose until my back was sore in the picture to take a perfect picture of the group. Jesus. Yeah, you don't want friends like that. That's just too much, isn't it? Too obsessed with how they look. Beware Virgo people. Oh, beware Virgo people. So I guess the people who have birthdays this month are Virgos. Is that right? And something that I have learned today is that using the Q&A mode of YouTube is totally pointless because nobody posted any of their questions there. So I won't be using that again. I had the Q&A mode enabled for the last 10 minutes and none of you used it. So obviously nobody cares. Nobody cares. Do make sure that you join our English Learners chat on Skype. That is just a messenger chat. It's a text chat. So don't worry if you don't want to show your face or anything like that. But I will say, please use your nickname from YouTube so people know who you are. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Smash that like button. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. And I will see you next time. Thank you. And see you next time. Bye-bye now. No outro. I'm just going to kill it. I want to try this. Just going to kill it. All right. I'll see you on Thursday. Next stream, probably. Bye-bye.